This was the moment 35 years ago Hannah Hauxwell first appeared on our television screens. Little did anyone realise she was about to become a household name and a national celebrity. No one could believe that in the 20th century anyone, let alone a woman, was still living such a harsh life, weathering some of the worst winters on record, at her remote farm in the High Pennines. Hannah was 46 when producer Barry Cockcroft and cameraman Mustafa Hamouri came to Low Burkhat Farm in 1973 to start filming. They returned many times over the next 2 decades to chart Hannah's struggle to remain on the farm.
Hannah Hauxwell was left on her own when her mother, the last of her family, died 12 years ago. In the house, there's no electricity, no water on tap. When she wants a cup of tea, she has to go to the stream in the field where the cattle graze.
Now in her 80s, Hannah still vividly and fondly remembers the day the television crew came to call, and her life changed forever.
There'd been a discussion about programmes and who they should have to make them, and quite a few with thinking along the lines of well-known people. And so, well, Barry says, why not go out and meet ordinary people? And so the reply was, well, you go and do it then. So he was made a series. It was what he called The Hard Life. So anyway, Barry arrived one morning or at some time at his desk and found a message. Met this woman, good talker, might be worth looking up.
It's all right, thank you, Wilmamy. Ah, you little beast. Oh, you little beast.
Well, he said it was lovely, and Mustafa behind the cameras talking very quickly, as he did. And I loved having them. I was sorry when they went. They were lovely people. I would say I was very lucky that Barry was, in the first place, the man he was, and also that I liked Mustafa, and you know, I just liked them. And of course they became friends, and I just liked them, and I was sorry when they went. I missed them when they went.
Hannah's plight gripped the millions of television viewers who watched, and Yorkshire Television's switchboard was jammed for 3 days by people wanting to find out more and help her in some way.
My father died when I was 7, and my uncle came to manage the farm for us. Uncle used to say sometimes, you know, there was repairs and things to be done. Maybe a beast had broken the thing that its chain was tied to, and things like other things. And Uncle would say, announce, I'm going to do so-and-so, and I shall require a labourer, which was never well received. But, you know, after I was left on my own, I was jolly glad that at least I could do, knock a nail or two in, and I was quite an expert, even though I say it myself, I was quite an expert with baling string.
There is a further hazard which forces Hannah to hang her food in plastic bags from the ceiling to protect it from rodents driven to seek winter shelter within Low Burkhat.
We've always had rats. I'm sorry to say, one time and another. There was one a while ago I met at the foot of the stairs. I don't know which was the most frightened, it or me, but fortunately it went the other way. No, I hate, they're horrible things. I don't like them. It wasn't easy. There was the good side and the not so good. Fairly harsh, but I was blessed with, on the whole, a good physique. and I liked the animals, and I didn't have to, which wouldn't have suited me at all, I didn't have to take orders from anybody. Well, this is Rose, of course, the mother cow, and grandmother now. Two of her daughters, the oldest one, Puddles, and Patch. He's a grandson, Bubbles, the big one. And he's another grandson, the little Peekaboo. They're half-brothers, those two. I sometimes think they're like me little family, and sometimes rather like children, especially the little ones, because you bring them up from babies. Ooh.
Sometimes the temperature drops so low that the stream flowing a few yards from her door, the principal source of water, freezes solid. And she's obliged to make the difficult downhill journey to the reservoir to fetch water for herself and the cattle.
For the cattle, I used to go down what we call the new road to the bridge, to Boulder Bridge, and carry buckets. But you never know how much water you need or how much the cattle need till you're short.
One of the most touching scenes was a rare occasion when Hannah left the farm to attend a harvest festival supper and dance. Her enjoyment of the social occasion and the music was obvious.
I hadn't been before, but went to the harvest supper, and then there was dancing afterwards. You know, it was quite different, you know, a lovely meal. Mrs. Field was quite a character. And a hunting horn at one point, I think.
But in some ways, the Harvest Festival celebrations only served to emphasise Hannah's loneliness and sense of isolation.
During winter, Hannah can go for 10 days without seeing another soul. She's 46. There's never been a man in her life, no real prospect of marriage.
Well, that's something that one can't just choose to do. A good marriage is a good thing if one's privileged to meet anyone. I think there's all the difference in the world between a good marriage and being on one's own. But of course, if it isn't a success, well, I think there can be nothing worse than being obliged to share a roof with someone you're utterly at variance with. That's terrible. But that's something, it's in other hands. You can't choose. One can't go into a shop and say, I want a husband.
Hannah Hauxwell remained alone at her beloved Low Birkhat farm for another 15 years. Marriage was never to be for Hannah, but her newfound fame brought her other opportunities. The documentary had turned Hannah into a national celebrity, and the film crew followed her getting ready for her first big trip outside the Dale.
Among the invitations was a request to attend the Women of the Year lunch in London as a guest of honour. She had never been to London before, so she prepared very carefully. Since she had no water on tap, her laundry had to be done in the reservoir below Low Birkhat. And the first new dress since her mother's funeral was purchased.
And a Hauxwell. Would you exchange your life in the Dales for, you know, for going to functions like this and living in London? I mean, could you?
It's nice for a while, but not. I wouldn't think on a permanent basis. No, I would need to be quiet and to get back to the hills.
You're going to be presented to the Duchess of Gloucester.
Well, I didn't know I was to be presented to her. Oh, it's very wonderful. Yes. I hope I'll behave in the correct manner, that's all.
It's Hannah Hauxwell, Yorkshire. Very nice to you. Heard so much about you. Who was looking after your farm today?
The neighbour's looking after my farm.
Let's do a picture of the two again, that's fine. Could you go back a bit, Hannah? Back to the Duchess.
This is where we have to talk very naturally. Because usually the press tells you what to talk about.
Yes.
At least we don't get that today.
To begin with, the event, I don't know if it still is, it was at that time held at the Savoy Hotel, and so Barry was saying this, that and the, you know, different outlining details and so forth, and he said, oh, by the way, you'll be staying at the Savoy. Well, I'd never stayed in a hotel in my life before. So, man, I said to a friend recently, there's nothing like starting at the top, is there?
But Hannah returned home to the Dales, little realising her life was about to change once again in a way she could never have dreamt. National celebrity. No one could believe that in the 20th century anyone, Croft and cameraman Mustafa Hammouri, came to Low Burkhat Farm in 1973 to start filming. They returned many times over the next 2 decades to chart Hannah's struggle to remain on the farm.
Hannah Hauxwell was left on...
Let alone a woman, was still living such a harsh life, weathering some of the worst winters on record, at her remote farm in the high Pennines. Hannah was 46 when producer Barry This was the moment 35 years ago Hannah Hauxwell first appeared on our television screens. Little did anyone realise she was about to become a household name and
on her own when her mother, the last of her family, died 12 years ago. In the house, there's no electricity, no water on tap. When she wants a cup of tea, she has to go to the stream in the field where the cattle graze.